你好, today I want to talk about something that has been confusing and honestly stressing out a lot of Chinese learners lately. The new HSK 3.0. I've got people asking me, are they increasing the vocabulary? Does my old HSK certification still count? And what does this mean for beginners? So in this video, I will break everything down clearly. What actually changed, what doesn't, and why you should and shouldn't worry about. So first of all, let's get one thing straight. The HSK is not basically adding the vocab to the newer version. It's not the old version plus more Chinese characters. It's a completely restructuring the system. So the numbers of the levels has changed. The vocabulary distribution changed. And the idea of what count as beginner, intermediate, and advanced also changed. So comparing the old version and the new version using the same level numbers can be very misleading. Let's do a quick comparison. The old one, the 2.0, which is the one that most countries are using for the Chinese proficiency test, they have 6 levels. And the vocab expectations for them are HSK level 1, 150, level 2, 300. It means 150 from the 1 and plus 150 from the 2. So in total 300. And all the way up to the HSK 6, which require a whopping 5,000 character or words. So it focuses mainly on recognition, listening comprehension, reading, and very limited writing. Speaking was tested separately through the HSKK. So this system was very task-oriented and very relatively accessible. The new HSK 3.0 has 9 levels in total, and the vocabulary expectations increase much earlier. The highest level requires close to 10,000 and 11,000 words. The skills are integrated. They're listening, they're reading, they're writing, they're sentence building, and they're speaking. So the speaking is mandatory for the certain levels. We still don't see the whole picture yet because they are just begin to push it out. So there's still limited information online about that. But after all, you can tell this is a much more ambitious system. So let's compare them, be honest, and look at both sides. The advantages of the new 3.0 HSK. Yes, there are advantages. First, it's a more practical orientation. So the new HSK emphasizes the real-life language use, forming sentences, expressing ideas, and speaking, not just choosing A, B, C, and D and match the picture with the vocab, okay? And the second, it focuses on the clearer progression. With 9 levels instead of 6 levels, the learner can track progress more gradually instead of just making huge jumps. The current HSK, the level 2 to level 3, it really feels like 2 levels jump at least. And third, it's closer to the real proficiency. That's most language test struggles. People can pass the TOEFL with a flying color, but still cannot speak complete sentence during the most basic conversations when they arrive the US or any English-speaking country. So the new ones really, especially at the intermediate levels, the new HSK better reflects whether someone can actually use Chinese, not just recognition. So all of these are good changes in principle, especially if you really want to learn the language, just not just trying to get a certificate for certain purposes. Even though you should learn the language, it helps you to prepare better. But there is always a but. There are problems and limitations. And now let's talk about the problems. The biggest one is, which everyone is stressing out, the vocab requirement at the top end is extremely high. And the requirement for the lowest end, which is HSK1, is also much higher. So can you imagine who can have a knowledge of 10,000 Chinese words for the level 6, for the level 9? Not very realistic for 99.9% of the learners. I, as a person living in the States for more than 20 years, I don't know how many English words I know, but clearly, definitely, absolutely less than 5,000. And also, most high school educated Chinese native speakers know less than 3,000. If you're a college graduate, probably you can barely reach 4,000, 9,000 or 10,000. That's like a dictionary level, okay? So even you're a long-time learner of Chinese language, even your university students, even your heritage learners, it's very people worldwide who can actively control that many Chinese words. So while the goal sounds impressive on paper, it does not reflect how most people actually learn to use Chinese, unless there are some certain reasons I don't know. I don't even think they need a level that high. And people with 3,000, 4,000 well-mastered words can already function extremely well in real life. I mean, even 2,000, if you learn the right word and really master them in all the context, probably you can read more than 90% of the daily newspapers and understand most of the TV dramas and the conversations. So this is why I personally think that the new version may be over-designed at the top level and the bottom level. So the important part is that we want to give you a reassuration. So if you pass the current HSK 1 and 2, and you're worried about you will suddenly disqualified anymore, no, that's not how it works. Your old certifications are still very valid, and they're still officially recognized. The old version exam are still in use right now. No one is suddenly taking your certification away. What changed is how the level, entry level, refined and defined, not your ability. So you didn't go backward. The standard moved forward, although the result is some kind of similar. So what about the exam format? Based on the current confirmed information, listening and reading remain the core components. Writing tasks are more emphasized, active output. Sentence construction matters more for the new one. Speaking is integrated into the system instead of being optional at higher levels. I think that's a welcoming change. I do believe that being able to speak the language is a core skill should be tested. So what has not been fully standardized yet is the exact difficulty balance for each level. We don't know that yet. How consistently the new format is implemented worldwide. People said starting from this year, 26, but I haven't heard or see any massive test takers. So if something is not officially confirmed, I will not speculate. But the general direction is very clear. Less guessing, more actually language usage. So here is a practical advice. If you're learning Chinese right now, you do not need to panic. You do not need to restart from zero. You do not need to chase the 10,000 word, even 5,000 word. Oh, that's unbelievable. But what you should do is gradually expand the vocabulary. Focus on sentence level mastery. Build listening and speaking confidence. That's useful no matter which system you follow. So let me summarize. The 3.0 is a real upgrade, not just a vocabulary add-on. Old certifications remain valid. New level and the new system emphasize practical language use. The highest vocab requirement, in my opinion, is not realistic at all for most learners. And you don't need to stress. Steady progress matters more than level labels. If you want to study Chinese in a more realistic, step-by-step way, sentence-focused, without being overwhelmed by the exam numbers, you're very welcome to check my website. The link is in the description. I built it as a 20 years plus experience language teacher for all the levels from elementary up to the university and adult. I focus on the useful Chinese, clear explanations, structured learning that actually helps you communicate. not just passing tests. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. 加油 and 再见。